op sale when they had a budget hearing the other night that's planning on cutting money from people's budgets. Each department's planning on giving back 2% of whatever their funding is. And I just don't understand how they can plan on having this big, huge party in the city, parades still going on, and an event that's going to cost the taxpayers more money, that they're not going to get any money out of it after it's over. They're just going to end up paying out to clean up the city, pay for overtime for all these departments that are going to be working that weekend. Can you explain to me why that's still a priority for the city?
I'm going to disconnect you and let Zach respond. Thank you for the call. It's an excellent question, and I would also add to that, Zach, what is it going to cost the city?
I believe the final numbers have not been crunched yet on what it will cost for fire and police. However, the point of op sale, which is it's a national event, and the date was given to New London far before, I believe, even the mayor took office. The point of op sale and why we're continuing to go on with it is an event that brings hundreds of thousands of people into New London. And it packs stores, it packs bars, it packs restaurants, and it allows people to see firsthand what New London is. And that's a city with an amazing waterfront, a great arts community, great people, everyone that is just a very tight-knit community, and it allows people to kind of get over that that notion that they used to have. I mean, I'm not from here, so I know what it's like coming into New London, what the attitude is.
Zach, we had op sale 10 years ago. It
12.
was 12 years. It was a huge success.
Yes.
And anybody that didn't have a good time, there was something wrong with them. So 12 years later, what were the benefits to the city? We're still struggling.
We get to have a great success again. And with the proposed, with the tax increase, businesses are going to need those hundreds of thousands of people coming in and filling up their restaurants and spending money. That's the benefit.
Well, I want to remind you, not only are there downtown businesses,
absolutely,
but there are taxpayers on fixed incomes that need some help as well, and we need to support all our people. But I want to get to the budget, please.
Well, absolutely, there is more than just downtown. However, downtown is our economic driver. That is what allows the tax rate to not skyrocket, and the budget is tough. There's no question about it. Tax increases are tough, and it's not something that any of us take lightly. There were many discussions about it, and the tax increase, the 20% that everyone went crazy about, that was just to correct revenue shortfalls. This 8.33% tax increase will be a tax increase, but there's also going to be a cut in services.
There's also going to be a referendum. I'm quite sure of it.
If the people decide to have a referendum, then they decide to have a referendum. We have a democracy.
Yeah, and I want to ask you about that process as well. The Day paper reported today, as well as the Patch, that the Coast Guard has decided to opt out of the train station. What is the mayor's feeling on that, and is it a dead deal? And personally, I think that would be the only thing that could bring back a renaissance of downtown New London, and certainly population would make downtown New London successful. What's the mayor's position on that, and what's going on with the Coast Guard?
Oh, absolutely. Having a Coast Guard museum downtown would be that driver that the whaling industry was, that we have not had since it left. The board decided that they said that the train station was not off the table. He met with the board today. They examined options. They never just said it was train station or nothing. They said there were several sites within the city, and they're looking into several sites within the city. The Admiral Papp committed when we went down to Washington, D.C., that the Coast Guard Museum would be in New London.
How far away do you think that decision is from being made by the Coast Guard?
We're hoping within the next year or 2 years.
Yeah, I don't know, Zach. You're lighting the lights up tonight, let me tell you. Thanks for calling Your Life with Zach. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Maury, am I on?
You're on.
Hey, I just we get back to the city pier.
Go ahead.
Hey, for years, we used to go fishing down there for snapper blues, for mackerel, and there was never any railings down there. I don't know what is the concern now for railings. I lived in New London from 1945 to 1983, and I fished for many years down there. and with a bamboo pole with all kinds of people, and nobody ever fell overboard that I can remember.
I think the concern today is that the original pier had a curb on it, had benches on it, and there was at least separation between somebody walking off the pier. Right now, I believe it's just a flat, if my memory serves me correctly.
It is just completely
It's
flat.
a flat slab, and there's no curb or anything. And if you look at it, I think maybe you would agree to that.
And there are also different options for railings. I mean, we're not talking about putting up a giant fence that no one can fish in. I mean, if you look at any of the piers that we have down there on the waterfront, you can still fish off of any of them. I think most they come up to the middle of my chest.
Does that answer your question?
It was just, there used to be like timbers there, Maury, that you could sit on, you know?
Exactly. Exactly.
And then one side of the pier, on the sound side of the pier, there was a lower level down there.
Right.
So,
We don't have that anymore.
oh, no, I haven't seen it.
It's just a slab that if you roller skated from one side to the other, you go in there. But
really?
listen, safety is an issue
Absolutely,
which we should
safety.
all be agree upon, and I'm glad to hear that they are going to address that issue.
Okay, Maury.
It does look
Thanks for the
beautiful.
call.
It does
Okay,
look
thank
beautiful
you.
down there, the work they've done.
You know, Zach, that gets back to plans and specifications. It seems odd to me that we would pay for so much to have a million, or three or whatever,
It's-
$100 million
it's a substantial
project,
amount of money, yeah.
and the architect didn't address it, and yet we're going to have to fund it, but that's a different issue, and we don't have time for that tonight. But thanks for calling. You're live with Zach.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Murray, to answer your question as far as the background checks, to be fair, Miss Welch has been doing that for years as far as she hires and then she does the background check. When they were interested in the interim city manager, the fellow from Florida a few years ago, it was the same thing. They were going to hire him and then do the background check, and that might be another thing that the personnel board would want to look at and
Seems like
change.
it's backwards to me. I'm sorry.
Yeah. At least, I mean, the cost of doing background checks before they hire could run up, but at least narrow it down to a couple of people and do it before.
Zach
And
wants to respond to that. If you could hold off just for a second. Go ahead, Zach.
Oh, just a note
sure.
about the personnel board. The mayor had an opportunity to appoint a majority of it. He appointed a majority new people to the personnel board.
Yeah, there's some great people on it.
Yeah, they do phenomenal work. All volunteers, and they're looking at to talk about the Almayo situation, diversity in city government. They're looking into opening up the hiring practices for the police department to the fire department to switch the way that they are tested to offer more, to allow more minority applicants to come into the fire department, to allow for greater diversification, so we have a fire department that looks like the city of New London. And that's just one of the great things that they've already started to look into.
Continue, please.
My other complaint is this. I know you're a fan of Barbara Neff. I don't have any big complaints, but, well, I kind of do. I don't like, the city of New London technically does not put on the events that she is hired to do because she uses the DNLA, she uses their insurance to put on the event. So technically, it's the DNLA and Neff Productions. And I have a problem with using nonprofits for their insurance. And I guess technically there's nothing wrong because DNLA is going along with it and they're getting advertising. But the City of New London really isn't putting it on. It's DNLA and Neff. And I would really like this to go out to RFP next year with, by the City Council, to an agency that has its own insurance and liability, and see what happens. I just don't like this, and I've seen it in use, before, where somebody, there's an event coming up at Riverside, and I'd like to know whose insurance is being used, because the individual that's having this event doesn't belong to any groups.
I'm going to disconnect you and let Zach respond to that because we have a
Okay.
couple other callers. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't mean to be rude. Go ahead, Zach.
The insurance question, that'd be something that I have to look into. It could just be that it's cheaper to use DNLA's insurance. I'm not positive. I do know Barbara Neff does phenomenal work getting people down to the waterfront. You know, she's been a great waterfront coordinator for a couple of years, and the quality of work she does is second to none in the city.
Will you check that out and maybe get back to us?
Absolutely.
And so we can have an answer?
Absolutely.
Thanks for calling. You're live.
Murray.
Hello.
Murray?
Yeah.
All right. Listen, I can't get used to your new time, and I think a lot of people don't realize that you're on earlier, you know?
Well, I usually put him to sleep later, so I started early.
Well, that's a good way to do it. But, you know, like we always knew the tax base in New London, what hurts is I know people have property there. They're trying to keep it up. But, you know, like the Coast Guard Academy, Connecticut College, Mitchell. Now, what I just wanted to get to it is like if you sent your daughter or son or whatever to Conn College, that's big money. I don't know why I think they're like tax exempt. I could be wrong. But not only that, last week I caught you. You left early, and I want to tell you one thing. You look great. And then Hallisey took over, and that was kind of scary because I don't know who your makeup artist is, but they're doing a great job. And I think Hallisey could even go back to maybe Chris Nealon or something. But if someone takes over, try to spruce it up a little bit, okay?
All right. And listen, could I invite you to come on because we really want to know about that elevator operation you had rolling back in the old days.
All right. Well, we'll discuss that. And I'm booked up, but I sure will try to squeeze that in because you're my favorite.
Thanks for the call.
Okay. Bye.
You know, the caller brings up a good point, Zach, which makes a very difficult problem in the city. The fact is 50% of the city is non-taxable. A huge problem. Absolutely. The payment in lieu of taxes, which we receive from the state of Connecticut, is underfunded. It has been for years. Hartford Current reported many years ago we don't even receive 20% what we should be getting. And how to overcome that is a question that will plague anybody in the position of power in the city.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I actually just happened to be by coincidence, looked into how much we get from Conn, Mitchell, and the Coast Guard, or L&M. L&M gives us nothing. Conn gives us $7,000, and Mitchell gives us $12,999.99. Adam Spracacci actually discussed this on the show previously, the Stormwater Authority initiative, which would allow, I believe, Conn, Mitchell, and L&M to pay for certain city services. So rather than paying us, based on appraisal, we would get more money into the city, which would be great because, as you said, I believe it's only 3.1 square miles of New London is taxable. And that's one of our biggest issues is that we are an economically distressed city with a very small tax base.
Let's regress a few weeks ago.
Okay.
When the mayor made an announcement that he was looking for a 20% tax increase. Prior to that, I was appalled to hear him say that he may be looking for a supplementary tax increase to support a revenue stream problem. Was he realistic when he asked for that 20% hike? And I called a very reputable realtor, and my question was, what are the ramifications of a 20% tax increase to real estate in the city of New London? And the answer was the ramifications was already taken effect because people that may have been interested in coming to New London are no longer interested just for the threat of that. Was the mayor serious when he proposed a 20% tax increase? And does he realize what that would do? Many people are on fixed incomes, retired people with not a lot of money. Some people it would cost $100, $150 a month to support tax increases like that. Even people with money sometimes. The guy at the meeting the other night from Pequot Avenue was almost in tears. I mean, he was serious. Was he serious about that, or was that just a negotiation starting point and part of the political game?
Yes, he was absolutely serious, and Mr. Lansing, I believe was his name, had one of my favorite comments. He called it a finazio tax, which killed me about that. That was one of the better ones we've heard. The original proposed tax increase, when we were told about the deficit that we were in, was 32%. That was what our finance director told us it was originally going to be. He asked the department heads to say, give me a budget that is honest, what you can do, will fill vacancies, we'll be able to move the city forward. It came in at $10.5 million more. He cut that back to a 20% tax increase, which still only corrected the revenue shortfalls from the previous year and the previous 2 years, because there was still the originally it was a $4.5 million shortfall. Now it's down to $3 due to great work from the administration and the finance director, and a $1.5 million from 2 budgets ago. This just corrects the revenue shortfalls. We still would have been able to barely get by. Services would have maintained the same. We would have been able to put a little bit into fund balance, but it was just correcting revenue shortfalls. And it was something that we took very seriously. He held forums. I talked to the restaurant owners, small business owners, and they all said, this can put us out of business. And that was the reality that we took, and we understood when the budget was proposed, is that this is a killer. It can put many people out of business. However, we had to be honest with ourselves. Taxes haven't been increased in many years here, and taxes have even been lowered a couple times. But they're still providing the same city services. And it ate away at our fund balance to where it's nearly empty. We're supposed to have 6% of the operating budget, which is about $6.5 million. We have right now about 1, and it was projected to go down to 0 until we did the hiring freeze, commodities freeze. It was a very dire situation. There's no doubt about it. And the 20%, yeah, it would have been a killer.
But that's
it was
what,
an honest budget.
happens when a city spends more money than they take in.
Absolutely.
I mean, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand that. And the facts are we spend more money than we have.
Absolutely, and revenue estimates were off by the tune of $3 million, where we were expected to get in $3 million more. I'm not sure how they arrived at those numbers. When the mayor put together this budget, he told department heads to guess conservatively on your revenues. We don't want to be off again, because if we're off, 1%, it could be $1 million. So he asked them, guess conservatively and guess expenditures honestly.
I'm going to forget my next question because you got 3 more questions here, and I want to get to the calls if you don't mind.
Not a problem.
Try to remind me what I was thinking of. Thanks for calling. You're live with Zach. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
You're live.
Yes, sir. Murray, I just wanted to take a moment to mention the passing of William Tackling this week, May 1st. He was a longtime member, paid fireman for years for the New London Fire Department. And just wanted you to mention him to your viewers and recognize his passing.
Willie Tackling was one of the best top firefighters in the city of New London. AAA guy for sure. And certainly he's going to be missed by many, many people, including me, that knew him from years ago. And thanks for bringing it to our attention. Thanks for calling you live.
Yes, hey, Murray.
Yes.
I want to ask a real quick question because I can never get an answer, and you're probably the guy to give me the answer. Why is it that the waterfront park does not fall under the Parks and Rec Commission?
Zach would
That's
maybe
my
be-
question.
I believe that would be a question to the chairperson of the Parks and Rec. It could just be they specifically want to focus on, the different physical parks in the city, Williams Park, Riverside Park, and maybe they decided to not focus on the waterfront park because we have a waterfront coordinator. I would definitely have to look into the bylaws and the purpose of
Would
that
you
committee.
check that out for us, Zach?
Absolutely. Just give me a list of things to check out, and I'll send you an email tomorrow.
I'm
Sure,
hoping
because
that-
the way
I'm
the
hoping you're gonna
charter is
remember this.
written, the Parks and Rec Commission, everything is supposed to go through the Parks and Rec Commission. And even if you go on the city's website, there's even a separate permitting process for the waterfront park. Yet there's been no charter change. So if we're going to start separating things out, then we have to go revisit on how we set up our boards and commissions. Because right now people come to Parks and Rec saying, hey, we want to rent out Waterfront Park. Then they say, hey, listen here, that's not our purview. You got to go see this person, that person. But we look inconsistent. So somebody needs to read the charter and set it straight, because every other nonprofit and anybody else that wants to use a park or park facility has to come in front of the commission, yet you don't do it for the waterfront. Okay, I'll hang up.
Thanks, caller. We only got a few minutes left, but I wrote it down, and I'll email Zach tomorrow.
Yeah, I was about to say, tell that gentleman, if you go to the city website, send me an email tomorrow, and I'll make sure to get an answer to you as quickly as possible.
Thanks for calling you live with Zach.
Zach,
Yes.
can you tell me, hello?
You're live.
Hello?
Hello?
Turn your TV down.
Can you tell me how much the Board of Education, can you tell me how much the Board of Education
Turn your TV down,
it's
sir.
increased this year? Turn it down.
It was not.
Board of Education was not. It's a flat,
I believe it's been just flat funded. The mayor proposed a 3% increase. The board originally proposed a 6% increase. Mayor cut it down in half. I believe it has just been flat funded again.
the mayor is inclined and very positive about building a new high school or renovating the existing high school to the tune of between $60 and $80 million. Where does he expect to get that money?
It's going to be bonded. He is committed to acting on whatever the city council recommends and the Board of Education recommends, but it is something that needs to be looked into.
When
and
will
acted
that
on
be
quickly.
addressed? And
Sooner rather than later. I believe they're still studying the different options if they want to renovate as new or build a new one, but it is something that we're in danger of losing millions of dollars from the state if we don't.
thank you for calling you live.
Thank you for taking my call, Murray. Zach, you're doing an excellent job tonight.
Thank you.
And I want to make two comments. One is, as far as the department heads coming to us with their budgets, the only one that came close to giving us a budget that was acceptable was Nathan Karam, the new city clerk. He did an awesome job with his budget. We found it hard to find places to cut money from him. And second of all, the waterfront park. That actually, I would like to see underneath the Port Authority. I believe that's where that belongs. Maybe we change it from the waterfront park to the waterfront pier or something. But I really believe that should be underneath the Port Authority, especially with all the moorings and everything we just put out there. And I think that's the best option for that. And then if people want to use it, it can be put up on the website that it's through the Port Authority, and then they can contact the Port Authority for use of the property. But I just wanted to call to say you did a good job tonight, Zach, and definitely keep up the good work. And Murray, you too. You're doing a great job, and I'm sorry you left early last week.
Well, you know what? I want you to come back on again when I don't have a lacrosse game because you guys did a good job as well. Thanks for the call. We're almost out of time.
I would just like to thank Councilor Maynard and thank him for his long nights and his long hours working on this budget. I know it was a very difficult process.
Well, it's not over yet, Zach, because right now it stands at 8.6%.
8.33.
There's a public hearing Monday night,
Yes.
which is going to be nothing more than a dog and pony show, because the council's not going to change their decision. The mayor's not going to change their decision. It's got to go to let the people vote it up or vote it down. But
Can I just address that real quick?
please.
I would like to say yes. If the people would like a referendum, that'd be fine. I believe the filing date is May 31st for anyone interested out there. Obviously, we would prefer to not have a referendum. But we already cut back as far back as we could. We're in danger of doing serious damage to the city if we cut back further. Taxes have not gone up for a very, very long time. And it's time. I mean, we're already looking at the different services that are going to be cut, and it's dangerous.
We only got a couple minutes left, Zach. The mayor restructured the public works, is it public works? The two longtime workers from the
Yes,
city
the
of New
Public Works
London
Department, yeah.
have been, I guess, terminated or whatever. What was
They were laid off.
What was behind that, and the ripple effect of that? I mean, why did he do that? And how is it going to save money, and what was the rationale?
Well, first off, I'll say one of the gentlemen laid off was actually the mayor's cousin, so people that think that the mayor plays favoritism should probably look at that. And two, it was under the recommendation of Director Hanser. He believed that it would make the department more efficient and more quickly able to respond to needs, make it a little less top-heavy by eliminating 2 managers and putting more responsibilities into the remaining managers. It was just basically an efficiency.
We got time for one call. Please be quick because we're going to roll through the credits, and please be brief. You're live with Zak Leavy. Hello. Hello.
Murray.
Yeah, quickly, please.
Listen, it's me. And you talked about me being on the show. I just want to tell you right quick. Letterman called, wanted me, but I'll put you in front of him.
I'm going to call you on a landline.
All right.
Thanks for the call.
You beat out Letterman. That's not too bad.
Zach, do you have anything else you want to add before we go tonight?
I would like to say, you said that, for 40 years we haven't had anything happen. Just our taxes have gone up. That is the reason why we have a mayor. That is the reason why it was 3-1 to go to this charter change, because there is now someone directing city government and directing the policies in the city towards the betterment of the entire city. We're not having 8 different groups rowing in 8 different directions anymore. There is one person driving the city of New London right now.
There are many people that wish that they hadn't supported or that hadn't passed, but that's the matter of the fact is we are where we are. Zach, thanks for coming on the show, and I hope you come on again. Thanks for the calls. Thanks for the crew. Murray the Eye signing off from the city. Too tough to die, New London.
Thank you, Murray.